Post-training notice. National First Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 51. Reunion. Ho ho hu hu. JIXIAN. JIXIAN was trembling, but he went to the back of the house. He saw Chen Lang washing peaches under a faucet, and next to him was a gorilla. The gorilla leapt back and forth, waiting to eat, and when Chen Lang was done washing the peach, he threw it at it. The gorilla let out a woohee as it bit into the peach, and ran away on its hands and feet. JIXIAN nearly fainted from fright. He patted Chen Lang, and Chen Lang turned his head, smiled, and then washed an apple to give to him. JIXIAN, I thought you had gotten kidnapped by a Yaoguai. How come there was a half-eaten apple on the ground? Chen Lang, it was too sour, it didn't taste good. Some blackish thing came to me wanting fruit, so I dropped the apple onto the ground. And so, the two good brothers were reunited. The two of them sat on the steps side by side again, and now, no gorillas came over. After a little bit, JIXIAN yelled out angrily, "Save us ah! Save us, save us, save us!" The mountain valley was full of echoes. From who knows where, a mink tunneled up. It lifted its head to look at them, then turned its head slightly. Chen Lang immediately started to smile. This is Chen Zhen's guardian beast. JIXIAN rubbed it and knew that Chen Zhen was about to arrive. Chen Lang ate for a while, then got up to stretch his limbs. He examined the lock on the wooden house with JIXIAN, and JIXIAN pushed the door open a bit to look through the crack. Inside was a bed with bedding on it. This was a lumberjack's hut. JIXIAN stretched a hand in, and felt a tin can, a coil of rope, a can, a clamp, a thin booklet, a handsaw, and 2 packets of instant ramen. He also discovered an army green shoulder bag hanging at the head of the bed, so he stretched his hand inside to take it away. However, JIXIAN got stuck in the crack of the door. Chen Lang tapped JIXIAN's back with his fingers, and JIXIAN waved his hand to indicate that he didn't need help. He would have to pull out his head himself. JIXIAN tilted his head, trying his best to pull open the door some more so he could retract his head back, when Chen Lang tapped him from behind again. "Hey," a man's voice said from behind. JIXIAN was startled and said, "I was investigating this house, trying to find wilderness survival tools. Who are you?" "Luan," the man replied, "you two come with me." "Where's the other hostage?" "What are your names?" "Xiao Lang, he can't hear," JIXIAN said, "I'm going to." JIXIAN finally pulled his head out, carrying the army green satchel, panting for breath. Luan was tall, thin, and very dark. He was wearing a dirty hat on his head. "How come there's only you?" JIXIAN asked, "Where's the exorcists from the second group?" "You can't take all the hostages away you can only take one." "Let's go Luan poked at Chen Lang with one foot, "Get up." "He can't hear." JIXIAN said, "Can you be patient? The hostages are going to be giving you grades as well." "Luan, stop talking fucking nonsense, what are you so chatty for? Are you sure your hostage is Xiao Lang?" JIXIAN held back his anger. He didn't want to quarrel with him, and after the exam, he'd just take some points off. He explained, "I don't think you are, because Director Chen's Ming found him first." Luan's expression was a little strange, and he said, "Then it's you ba." JIXIAN said, "Is this really okay Luan said impatiently, "Are you going or not?" JIXIAN said, "Are you here for the exam, or?" Luan was furious, grabbed JIXIAN's collar, and pushed him aside. However, JIXIAN's actions were faster than him, and he blocked him. Luan grinned mockingly at that and hooked his ankle, sending JIXIAN falling onto his back, his limbs in the air. Chen Lang. Chen Lang hadn't heard what they said, but when JIXIAN fell, he was angry. He wanted to push Luan away, but Luan grabbed him with one hand and tossed him aside. That mink immediately shot at Luan, and Luan shouted angrily, "What is this?" Luan grabbed at his face with one hand, grasping for the mink wildly, as he pulled out a wooden stick from his waist. JIXIAN shouted, "What are you doing?" At some point, on the roof of the small wooden hut, a huge dark shadow appeared and leaped towards them. JIXIAN shouted wildly. Luan had already grabbed Chen Lang, but right then, a black, furry thing rushed down, hissed, and spat out some sticky white fluid. Luan roared. This surprise had come way too fast, and the monster knocked him over onto the ground. JIXIAN rushed up, carrying the military green satchel, and swung it. He smacked the spider right in the head, and while the spider was completely dizzy, JIXIAN took this opportunity to drag Chen Lang away. The two of them saw the monster in its entirety, and it was a big, 10-meter-long spider. Who knew where it had hidden itself before, but it had suddenly appeared from on top of the wooden roof. Luan stumbled away and rolled down the hillside, while JIXIAN and Chen Lang hid behind the wooden house. Chen Lang gripped JIXIAN's hand tightly, neither of them dared to breathe loudly as they held in their breaths. A hairy, 3-meter-long spider leg poked into their sight and drew away. Chen Lang rode softly on JIXIAN's back. "What's that?" "I don't know, it seems to have left." JIXIAN said, "It's a Yaoguai they paid money to rent ba, don't be afraid." JIXIAN looked up, as the roof above their head shook constantly. Chen Lang pressed his hand against the wall of the wooden house and felt a slight vibration. JIXIAN lowered his head, peeking out from the gap under the wooden house. 8 spider legs were walking around outside. They immediately approached them, and then clung onto the wall. Suddenly, all the legs retracted and disappeared silently. JIXIAN heard an echo in the valley, far in the distance. "Someone is shouting." "Chen Lang, did that person come back?" "I think he's very evil." "Don't go with him." JIXIAN, "I won't follow him. Where's the spider?" "Chen Lang, the spider is on the roof." JIXIAN glanced at Chen Lang and pointed inside the room while indicating with his eyes, "I'll distract it, definitely don't come out." Then he raised his head and saw that huge spider clinging to the edge of the roof with 4 feet. It lowered its head, staring at them with a pair of red eyes, its mouth parts jittering and dripping sticky white fluid. "Ah!" JIXIAN yelled. JIXIAN swung his bag and ran out wildly, but the spider was faster than him and quickly caught up with him. JIXIAN wanted to judo throw the giant spider over his shoulder, but the spider didn't fall for this trick. Its other leg swept towards him and pressed him on the ground. JIXIAN's hair stood on end all over his body. However, within that same second, as his vision was blurring and the world spinning around him, he saw someone rushing in from a distance. "Xiang!" Before JIXIAN could shout, the spider caught him by the collar. His entire body flew up and was dragged back onto the wooden roof by the spider. Xiang Cheng stepped on the stones of the wooden house, jumped into the air, grabbed JIXIAN with his left arm, lifted the demon-subduing staff with his right hand, and roared, "Scram!" The spider bit the demon-subduing staff. Xiang Cheng gripped the staff in one hand and swung it fiercely. The entire giant spider swung around in a circle and was thrown to the end of the path. JIXIAN. While the spider was in the air, Xiang Cheng swung out the demon-subduing staff again. The head of the Kame staff erupted with a golden light and turned into a giant golden sword glimmering with runes. He cut it in the air. The spider was immediately cut in two. It exploded in the air with a bang and turned into black gas, which dissipated. JIXIAN gasped for breath. Xiang Cheng was also slightly panting because he had run wildly up the mountain road. 3 seconds later, JIXIAN came back to his senses, stretched out his arms and hugged Xiang Cheng's neck, swallowing down his drool while he did so. Xiang Cheng looked down at him. JIXIAN's lips trembled slightly, and he racked his brains for something to say. However, he couldn't say a word, and the two of them automatically hugged each other tightly. His mind was blank, as if the heavens had been rent asunder and the earth had cracked. Fireworks filled the sky, JIXIAN bang, bang, bang. Countless fireworks rose from the forest and exploded in the sky. Xiang Cheng blushed to the base of his neck and awkwardly let go of JIXIAN. He put one hand into his trouser pocket, adjusting the part of his underwear that had tented. He tilted his erection, using his underwear to hold it down. JIXIAN also adjusted his pants with an embarrassed expression. They were embarrassed to the point they couldn't be any more embarrassed, and JIXIAN said, You. Xiang Cheng, you finally came. Xiang Cheng. I. JIXIAN said, I have a lot of things I need to say to you. JIXIAN was a bit incoherent. Xiang Cheng was a bit at a loss. I also have a lot of things I need to say to you. JIXIAN, N. Xiang Cheng. The demon subduing staff, JIXIAN said. Right. Xiang Cheng hurriedly set aside the demon subduing staff. JIXIAN was still immersed in that hug from just now, his whole body frozen as though he had been shocked. He had nearly come right then and there. Xiang Cheng, Right. JIXIAN said hurriedly, Xiao Lang. JIXIAN went around to the back and had Chen Lang come out. Chen Lang saw Xiang Cheng. He smiled and signed, We've waited for you for a long time. Where's your partner? JIXIAN asked. Xiang Cheng remembered at that and said, It's Ji Wei, he didn't manage to keep up. Don't mind him. Tell Xiao Lang that we should move out. JIXIAN was a bit hesitant and said, No, they'll deduct points. Saving people is what's important, Xiang Cheng said, You don't have anyone watching you, and it's too dangerous to stay here. Who cares about points? You all, come with me, let's go. Saying that, he beckoned to Chen Lang. JIXIAN finally figured out what he loved about Xiang Cheng, he loved him for this. We should still wait a bit first ba, JIXIAN suggested. Chen Zhen will arrive soon, his Ming has already scouted here. Then let's rest, Xiang Cheng replied. He went around the house to check it out and tyrannically kicked open the door of the house. He pulled out the bed and patted the blanket, indicating that the two of them should sit there. JIXIAN. The sun set, and the three of them sat in a row on the bed, waiting foolishly. Qi Xiaotuo turned his head to look at Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng was looking at the forest and looked like he was thinking about something. He turned his head slightly, glanced at JIXIAN, then quickly tore his gaze away, not daring to meet his eye. JIXIAN suddenly remembered something. Right? I made you a magical artifact, it's a pair of rings, one for me and one for you. Xiang Cheng was a bit at a loss. JIXIAN reached into his pocket and pulled out two pieces of metal, but then saw that they were just two soda can tabs. JIXIAN thought, where are my rings? I like it, Xiang Cheng hurried to say. JIXIAN, no, this. Before JIXIAN could finish talking, Xiang Cheng had already taken both the soda can tabs. Inside JIXIAN's heart, his tears were blowing in the wind. He remembered that he had changed outfits in the morning, and the rings were in the other outfit's pockets. However, Xiang Cheng moved very fast, and he put the soda can tab on his little finger. It's nice, Xiang Cheng said. That's not it, JIXIAN pressed a hand to his forehead, not able to look at him. Xiang Cheng pulled JIXIAN's left hand to him, put the other soda can tab on his little finger, looked at him, and nodded, his eyes filled with happiness. Chen Lang looked at JIXIAN and then at Xiang Cheng. He asked Xiang Cheng if he wanted to eat some fruit, and Xiang Cheng hurriedly waved his hand. Xiang Cheng put one hand on the bed and awkwardly shifted a bit. JIXIAN's entire face was red. He had had tens of thousands of words to say before they had sent off, but once they met in person, he didn't know where to start. Was the training hard? JIXIAN asked. He suddenly felt that he was so dumb and that the atmosphere was very weird. Xiang Cheng replied, we had lectures, I can't remember them. The flush on Xiang Cheng's face still hadn't receded. JIXIAN's hand touched Xiang Cheng's hand, then Xiang Cheng grabbed his hand. With a boom, JIXIAN's mind began to set off fireworks again. Fuck, this sunset is so beautiful. Ah! How can this forest be so beautiful? And that spider? How can it be so cute? JIXIAN's heart beat rapidly all of a sudden, and he was about to lose his breath. He had held other people's hands so many times before, and he had even held Xiao Lang's hand, but this felt completely different. Ah! You! Xiang Cheng thought for a moment and said, JIXIAN, we. JIXIAN turned his head and looked at him. The two of them quietly looked at each other, and Xiang Cheng's gaze turned from his eyes to his lips, as if he was a little hesitant. We, should go. Xiang Cheng's lips formed the beginning of the phrase go out. JIXIAN. We, should become. Xiang Cheng finally made up his mind, overcame all his difficulties, quickly and concisely, and said as if he had turned the radio knob to the lowest volume, become partners. Oh. Okay. JIXIAN didn't understand. He thought, where does he want to go? Xiang Cheng. JIXIAN. Okay. JIXIAN replied, but he looked at Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng's blush had already reached his neck and ears, and he uneasily undid his collar. Where are we going? JIXIAN said. We'll be stepping out together. Xiang Cheng said, all right. Oh. Although JIXIAN didn't quite understand what he meant, he still replied, sure. Xiang Cheng rubbed his nose, nodded, looked at the ring, smiled at JIXIAN, and JIXIAN also smiled at him. Suddenly, he replayed everything, and there was a bang in his head. Become partners. Become partners. Is he confessing to me? Xiang Cheng was looking at him and smiling, and JIXIAN suddenly scooted forward, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him on the lips. This time, Xiang Cheng's whole body went stiff, and he stared at JIXIAN in a daze. He raised his hand slightly, not knowing where to put it. First, he put it on JIXIAN's arm, then he put it on his back. JIXIAN was also dying of anxiety, while Xiang Cheng was about to stop breathing. JIXIAN's hand fumbled here and there, and he didn't know where to hold onto Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng simply pressed him onto the bed, lying on top of him to kiss him. Chen Lang was startled and wanted to go forward and pull Xiang Cheng away, but Xiang Cheng quickly raised his arm to block Chen Lang. JIXIAN was pressed beneath Xiang Cheng, but even in the midst of all this, he stretched out his hand and waved at Chen Lang. Chen Lang leaned in suspiciously and discovered that they were kissing, so he nodded knowingly and smiled. Xiang Cheng's kissing technique was really crude and clumsy, but when a warm tongue stretched in, JIXIAN's mind immediately buzzed, as if he was completely overwhelmed. As they kissed and kissed, Kita's voice started to sing from the cold rocks of the mountains behind them. Having no guard at all, or a single concern. You, just like that appear. 4 sticks poked out from behind the rocks, and Kita and Chi Wei leaned out, waving the branches and singing in unison. Xiang Cheng. JIXIAN bounced up as though he had been shocked, and the two of them quickly separated. In my world bringing me happiness. Xiang Cheng straightened out his belt and stumbled up, his fingers rubbing against his chin. He wiped at the saliva he had left on JIXIAN's mouth with his sleeve, and JIXIAN instinctively started to run towards the back of the hut. He saw that Chen Lang was still sitting to one side, eating an apple, so he ducked behind Chen Lang. I am unable to hold myself back. Kita and Chi Wei hid behind the rocks. Chi Wei had been the prince of karaoke before, and when he sang the high notes, his voice was very emotional. Kita's voice on the other hand was deep and rich, so it came together for a perfect male duet. The two of them sang while raising both hands holding branches, waving them around like car wipers, their a cappella rendition rising and falling. JIXIAN. Xiang Cheng. It's like a dream, it's fated to be, Chi Wei sang loudly and expressively. Kita and Chi Wei, you exist in the depths of my mind. JIXIAN, enough ah. Kita turned his head and shouted down the mountain, friends below. Sing with me. I love you guys. Gagantorura. Chen Zhen's wild voice sounded from below the mountain. His voice echoed angrily in the mountains, and he shouted, pull me up quickly. Stop making trouble. JIXIAN. Finally, found you. You guys. What are you guys doing? Chen Zhen was completely out of breath, lying on the stone and while panting. Watching the sunset ah. JIXIAN said right away. Chen Lang immediately laughed and pounced on Chen Zhen. Chen Zhen hugged him and took his hand. Their troops had finally converged. JIXIAN couldn't be any more embarrassed, and Xiang Cheng only came back to his senses after a long time. He awkwardly avoided JIXIAN's eyes, but when he wasn't paying attention, his gaze turned back, and he stared at him. Ah, what a silly confession ah. JIXIAN thought. But in any case, JIXIAN felt that he would not forget the scene for the rest of his life. In front of him was an endless sky with burning red clouds, the sunset casting its light over the vast and endless expanse of the great Xing'an mountains. They sat in front of the wooden house deep within the mountains, on a metal spring bed, shoulder to shoulder, gazing at the sunset. Chen Zhen recuperated for a while, and everyone else chatted. Xiang Cheng got up and put the bed back. Chi Wei had been sitting and eating fruit, and when Xiang Cheng suddenly pulled the bed away, he fell backwards. JIXIAN, ha ha ha. Xiang Cheng closed the wooden door and came out, carrying JIXIAN's bag. With an indication in his eyes, he left. Chen Zhen was still panting a bit and said, let's all move out together ba. Kita asked suspiciously, are you sure that everyone got the right hostage? Chi Wei said, let's go together ba. It doesn't matter whether we bring the wrong person or not, we're all acting collectively. Xiang Cheng's face turned livid, and he finally said a word, scram. Everyone. Xiang Cheng grabbed JIXIAN's shoulder and walked down the mountain with him. Chi Wei shouted and just had to follow him from far behind. Kita pointed his middle finger at him and roared, you can't throw this sick ghost to us ah. JIXIAN hurriedly said goodbye to Chen Lang. Before he could finish signing at him, he had been whisked away by Xiang Cheng. End chapter. Post-training notice. National First Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 52. A mine. Xiang Cheng completely ignored Chi Wei, who followed them from behind. What's in the bag? Wilderness survival tools. JIXIAN replied, there's rope, a knife, and a can of lunch meat. Chi Wei laughed and said, the organization specially put it here for you to find after searching around. JIXIAN said, how is that possible? Xiang Cheng said, look at the shelf life of canned lunch meat. JIXIAN. Chi Wei. The production date was 3 months ago. The corners of JIXIAN's mouth twitched, and he said, they really put it there temporarily. Xiang Cheng let out an N and said, keep it, it will definitely be useful later. What were you busy doing while I was away? JIXIAN told Xiang Cheng about the Chen family's magical artifact, but since Chi Wei was nearby, he didn't dare to say too much. Xiang Cheng let out an N but was actually not listening at all. He kept glancing over at Chi Wei vigilantly, and it seemed that he just wanted to talk to JIXIAN. He said, I'll carry you on my back ba. I can walk. JIXIAN said. The hostage should give us full marks ba. Chi Wei added. Xiang Cheng once again ignored Chi Wei, who was constantly trying to insert himself into the conversation along the way. He asked JIXIAN, "What did you eat with Chen Lang every day? Weren't you going to go stay at Kita's house? Are you hungry? It's soup. It's delicious but just so happened to be on the blander side." JIXIAN replied. "Chi Wei, Director Chen's little brother, got his sight back. Xiang Chen, I thought I couldn't pass, but I held your lucky charm in my hand and finally passed." JIXIAN laughed and thought Chen Zhen should have helped BA, but of course, that couldn't be said. Anyway, Xiang Chen still counted as very strong even if he was a dunce. "Chi Wei, is this the right way to go?" Xiang Chen let out a careless "n", finally paying attention to Chi Wei. They went down the mountain on one path, and at the foot of the mountain, they saw another winding staircase leading to the top of the mountain. Xiang Chen hesitated for a moment, playing with a snuff bottle in his hand and staring at Chi Wei's back. JIXIAN was still immersed in that confession from before, and he stopped to ask Xiang Chen, "Should we go up the mountain?" Chi Wei in front also stopped and said, "Why don't we go up this way?" Xiang Chen put the snuff bottle away, and Kita's voice drifted down from above. "There should be another way. Everyone." Kita, Chen Zhen, and Chen Lang came down the small steps, and the two teams stared at each other. "Hi." JIXIAN greeted them warmly. Chen Lang took out some fruit and gave each person one. "Let's go." Xiang Chen said expressionlessly. "Kita, you can't do this, great immortal Xiang. I've already led such a hard life, and I have no combat effectiveness at all now." Kita's voice was far behind, and Chi Wei turned back and whistled to them. JIXIAN was still a little worried about running into Luan from a moment ago. They walked into the dense forest, and JIXIAN said, "Zhou Wanyuan and Fang Yulan drove the guerrillas away just now. The exorcism committee's Yaoguai are more scattered this time." Chi Wei said, "The venue's also too big. Which direction are we going in?" JIXIAN asked. "North." Xiang Chen said simply, "Are you tired? I'll piggyback you." JIXIAN hurriedly said no, then said, "I was almost taken away by Luan." "Luan?" Xiang Chen looked alert. "Luan ah." Chi Wei raised his eyebrows and said, "He found you guys. He was so grumpy." JIXIAN said, "Towards us, no, he nearly used force on us." Xiang Chen said, "When we get out, I'll teach him a lesson." Chi Wei said with a laugh, "That guy is just like that. He has bipolar disorder." JIXIAN kept feeling an indescribable worry. He asked again, "Is Luan an exorcist?" "He's the disciple of a very irritable exorcist." Chi Wei replied. JIXIAN nodded and was temporarily relieved. After the incident with Dinghai, he had always felt a little suspicious of everything. Of course, as long as Xiang Chen wasn't fake, everything was good, and this was something he was completely certain on. "We have to find some water first." Chen Zhen said, "It's getting dark." "Kita, walk faster." "Kita, Director Chen, let's see you walk faster while piggybacking your little brother." Everyone. Deep in the woods, the two groups met again. "Hi." JIXIAN greeted Chen Lang. It was already dark, and Chen Lang waved, asking if they wanted more fruit. JIXIAN waved back, indicating that there was no need for it. "Hi, Kita, bye Kita." JIXIAN said. "Bye." Kita said from far away. Kita and Chen Zhen conscientiously walked further. "Let's find a place to spend the night ba." Xiang Chen said, "We'll hurry along tomorrow. We have 48 hours, and 7 hours have already passed." Chi Wei said, "The main point now is to find an exit." JIXIAN had climbed up the first mountain from the southern side and now came down from the north, which meant that he had basically crossed the entirety of the mountain. The lumberjack's small house had disappeared completely in the twilight, and they were now surrounded by shrubbery. The ground was wet and covered with mud and leaves, and they had walked nearly 3 kilometers. A drop of water plinked on JIXIAN's head, and a light rain began to fall. "Where's Chi Wei?" Only then did JIXIAN discover that Chi Wei was gone. A whistle blew in the distance, and the sound cut through the long night. Xiang Cheng opened his broken umbrella, put his arm around JIXIAN's shoulders, and walked towards the depths of the mountain. Chi Wei was standing in front of a cave and calling them over. "How did you know there was a cave here?" JIXIAN asked. "In these kinds of mountains, there are usually a mine." Chi Wei replied, "Wood is easy to get here, and can be used for supports for the tunnels. Plus, the Greater Qing'an Mountains are rich in minerals. Let's spend the night here tonight, ba." Xiang Cheng went out to scavenge firewood, while Chi Wei and JIXIAN sat in the cave. "There is usually a mine in this kind of mountain." Chen Zhen's voice came from outside the cave. "Chi Wei. JIXIAN. Kita, don't go in. I'm scared of the dark." "Then stay outside and get rained on, ba." "Come, put Xiao Lang down." JIXIAN face palmed. Xiang Cheng also came in, so there were 4 big men, all were over 1.8 meters tall, crowded within the confines of a narrow mine. "Xiang Cheng. We found it first." JIXIAN said, "You have to pay the protection fee before you can enter." Chen Lang sat down inside and gave everyone food. Everyone remained silent. "Let's start a fire first," Xiang Cheng said. Chi Wei made a gesture with both hands. A fireball came out of his hand and shot towards the firewood. However, the firewood was wet and couldn't be lit. Chen Zhen took out his heart lamp and lit it instead. The cave was filled with the feeling of holy light, which made JIXIAN feel light, floaty and warm. However, when he tried to light the firewood, it still didn't catch on fire, and the light went out. The cave was pitch black. Xiang Cheng recited a mantra and snapped his fingers. A bright flame burst out between his fingers. It circled around the firewood, and the firewood emitted green smoke. "It's too wet to burn." Xiang Cheng said, "I'll find a way." "What if we use the sacred devil subduing fire of Akalanatha?" Chen Zhen said, "The heart lamp can't last long." Chi Wei said, "With the dragon subduing spell, I can summon a fire dragon." "Are you trying to blow up the cave?" Xiang Cheng said coldly, "It's easy to summon a dragon, but it's hard to send one away. You all go outside and stay far away." Chi Wei shone the light of an iPad into the cave and said, "I might not summon a real dragon. It's too dangerous, and if you do summon a real dragon, you'll burn up the forest." Chen Zhen said, "Let's think of some other way. What can we do to make the wood dry?" "Fang Yulan has a way." Xiang Cheng said in a deep voice, "Should we go look for her?" Kita said, "I remember that Chao Bin has a subordinate who can spit fire. Should we go look for him?" While everyone was worried about making a fire, JIXIAN took out a small jar of gasoline from his bag, poured it on the firewood, and then flicked the lighter. Everyone left the cave to avoid the smoke of the wet firewood. Then Chi Wei summoned up a gust of wind to disperse the smoke, and everyone came in again. As soon as 8 o'clock in the evening passed, the temperature plummeted. Technology changes life. JIXIAN laughed with a hee-hee, tickled pink by his own actions. Everyone was speechless. Xiang Cheng took out an iron lunch box, opened the lid, sprinkled some salt inside, and put it in the woodpile. Chen Zhen took out a thermos from Kita's backpack, took out the inner container, poured some clean water into it, boiled it over the fire, and put it back into the thermos after the water boiled. Half an hour later, Xiang Cheng opened the box, which contained a large box of salt-baked potatoes. "Gilug." JIXIAN's stomach began to rumble. "Can we eat now?" JIXIAN asked. "Let's add some meat." Xiang Cheng placed a piece of lunch meat inside and sprinkled some pepper on it. "And some vegetables." Several pieces of wild vegetables were added, Then the box was covered and simmered for 5 minutes. Everyone's stomachs cried out together. Chen Zhen poured out a bowl of soup for Chen Lang. Chen Zhen, let's exchange a bowl of soup for 2 of your potatoes. Xiang Cheng, deal. And so, Qi Wei and Kita watched Zhi Ziaduo and Chen Lang start drinking soup and eating potatoes. Kita couldn't stop swallowing his drool. Kita Xiang, Qi Wei gave him a piece of hardtack. Kita's eyes filled with tears, and he nodded his thanks. Deep in the forest, in the exam proctor's cabin, Wang Lei couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. 4 exorcists, and in the end, it was a hostage who started the fire. If this gets out, the exorcist committee will lose so much face. Lin Yura, the hostage in that group is in danger, you have to hurry to save them. Keep watching that group, Ba. Teacher Zheng, take a rest first. Alright, I'll first close my eyes for an hour. I can't compare to you youngsters. Outside the mine. Usually there should be a mine in this kind of mountain, because it's a virgin forest. They said during the training that there are abundant coal deposits here. You must have dozed off in class. Zhou Wanyuan's voice came from the outside. We can't fit any more people in here. Kita flared up in a fury. Gagantorura Kita. Zhou Wanyuan said, can't you be a bit more of a gentleman? Zhi Ziaduo, hi. Hai Fang Yulan was gracious and came in with their hostage. Xiang Cheng glanced outside but didn't say anything. He scooted in a little more. It smells so good. Lei Guangxi drank some milk and asked, Directors, can you give me some to eat? Drink your milk. Kita said, I don't even have any to eat myself. Is there any more milk? Chen Zhen asked, we can trade with you. No more. Zhou Wanyuan said with a bored expression. Fang Yulan opened her bag, gave them each a piece of nori, and asked, do you guys eat melon seeds? Zhi Ziaduo looked at Xiang Cheng, and Xiang Cheng said, if you want to eat melon seeds, give her a potato. With that, everyone bartered off the goods they had and began to while away the cold night together. Chen Zhen dozed off, leaning against a rock, while Kita, Qi Wei, and Zhou Wanyuan played cards while eating melon seeds. Fang Yulan borrowed Qi Wei's iPad and drew sketches while listening to a radio show. Chen Lang was sitting beside Fang Yulan, who watched her draw curiously. Xiang Cheng and Zhi Ziaduo snuggled up in the deepest part of the cave. Xiang Cheng hugged him and kept looking around. He kept looking into the cave, and the deepest wall of the cave was covered with soil, like there had been a recent collapse. Zhi Ziaduo dozed off and had a strange dream. In the dream, shrouded in the dark night, the continuous stretch of mountains seemed to hide a huge monster. Zhi Ziaduo was next to a glowing boss snake, and the giant monster in the dark opened its snarling mouth and called out to the boss snake. It's time to go. Don't go. Zhi Ziaduo hugged the boss snake, and the boss snake lifted its head and looked doubtfully off into the distance. It's time to go. The boss snake turned its head again and looked at Zhi Ziaduo. Zhi Ziaduo woke up suddenly. Xiang Cheng noticed that Zhi Ziaduo was peeking at him, so he looked down at Zhi Ziaduo. The bonfire reflected on Zhi Ziaduo's face. What are you thinking? Zhi Ziaduo asked. Nothing. Xiang Cheng put his warm lips to Zhi Ziaduo's ear and said, it's actually a little dangerous to make a fire. What else is in that bag? Zhi Ziaduo took out a map. Xiang Cheng studied it carefully and said, very good. Xiang Cheng bit down on the pen cap, marked several points one by one on the map, and said, we'll set out later. We'll go along here, to here. Xiang Cheng's pen marked 4 X's along the ridge, with a distance of about 10 kilometers between each two. Is that the end of the practical exam? Zhi Ziaduo asked. There are 4 endpoints. Xiang Cheng said, as long as we get off the mountain, we'll be fine. We can leave along this road. Right. Zhi Ziaduo suddenly remembered something. He drew close to Xiang Cheng's ear and whispered in a very quiet voice, "When you were away, someone escaped from prison." "Who?" Xiang Cheng asked, his eyebrows twitching. "Chao Bin went to interrogate a prisoner." JIXIAN whispered. "Who is Chao Bin?" Xiang Cheng asked again. JIXIAN explained to him what had happened at the Exorcist committee, including everything with Jinghao, Chao Bin, and the rest. Chen Zhen was sleeping across from them while holding Chen Lang in his embrace. Xiang Cheng didn't say a word throughout the entire story, but instead listened carefully. It wasn't until JIXIAN finished that Xiang Cheng nodded. "Do you know that person?" Chen Zhen opened his eyes and asked. Xiang Cheng shook his head. JIXIAN said, "Is it his innate ability to put a goo in Chao Bin's body?" "That wasn't a goo," Xiang Cheng said. Chen Zhen's expression changed minutely. "What was it?" JIXIAN took out his little notebook and prepared to update the entry. "I don't know," Xiang Cheng said absently. "Don't mind him, let's continue to talk about the route." Going from here to here, Xiang Cheng connected a series of X's with his pen and said, "Will take about 18 hours. N." JIXIAN nodded. Xiang Cheng continued, "Then we'll set out in the middle of the night. You sleep, I'll piggyback you up the mountain later." "It's too dark," JIXIAN protested. "It's not safe." Xiang Cheng waved his hand, and JIXIAN then asked, "Where's Sigui?" "Sigui isn't a spiritual beast." Xiang Cheng replied, "It can't help us with our exam." Saying this, he looked at his watch. It was 8:30 right now, and there was still some time until midnight, so he could sleep for a bit. 12 o'clock is not a suitable time for setting out. Chen Zhen said, "That's the time when the yin qi is the heaviest. We must set out then." Xiang Cheng raised his eyes and said, "It's actually safer to walk at night." "No ba." Kita's expression immediately changed, and he said, "It's so dark, and we still have to take the mountain path. Let's set off in the morning ba." Chi Wei said, "Have you found a route?" "We're setting off in the middle of the night." Xiang Cheng replied. "We have time." Zhou Wanyuan said. "We don't have time." Xiang Cheng replied, "Your hostages are holding us back." "You're talking like your hostage isn't holding us back, ah," Zhou Wanyuan said angrily. "How am I holding you people back?" JIXIAN said, "I'm the one who started the fire." Everyone stopped talking at once. Since they couldn't get through with JIXIAN, they all turned to Chi Wei instead. Chi Wei said, "Don't look at me, I'll listen to the captain." "Kita, Xiaoduo, please pout a little at Xiang Cheng and tell him not to take the night route." I. I'm a hostage." JIXIAN said, "I have no choice ah." Fang Yulan turned a page of her sketchbook and reached over to rummage around in her paint box. Chen Lang helped her take out the paint. She nodded her thanks, before squeezing a little yellow paint on the paper. "I think we should listen to Great Immortal Xiang," she said. Chen Zhen and Kita hesitated for a moment. Chen Zhen said, "Give us a reason why we should travel at night." Zhou Wanyuan thought for a moment and said, "Our team will go with Great Immortal Xiang Ba." N. Fang Yulan then squeezed a little black paint on the paper. Chen Zhen and Kita didn't say anything. Xiang Cheng bent his legs, and JIXIAN sat on his side, leaning in his arms, his back against his raised knees so that JIXIAN was propped up in front of his chest. Xiang Cheng covered JIXIAN with his camouflage jacket, leaving himself with only a tank top on. His chest rose up and down with his breaths, and a solid and powerful heartbeat came from his chest. His body was very hot, which made JIXIAN felt warm. The sound of rain came from outside, and it rained harder and harder. "Xiang Cheng," JIXIAN whispered. Xiang Cheng looked down at him and raised his eyebrows gently. "Your heart is beating so fast." JIXIAN touched his chest. Xiang Cheng held his hand, lowered his head, and kissed his short hair. Immediately, pink bubbles appeared over JIXIAN's head. Sleep. Xiang Cheng said, why do you have so much nonsense to say? Quickly, close your eyes. 1, 2, 3, sleep. I can't sleep. JIXIAN said, but it's fine. I slept in the car during the entire trip. Are you cold? Xiang Cheng hugged JIXIAN tighter. JIXIAN blushed and shook his head. He felt a little wind from the ground, so he pulled up his sleeves and shrank into Xiang Cheng's arms. There is another layer to this cave. JIXIAN whispered. SHH. Xiang Cheng motioned for him not to speak. Great Immortal Xiang, we can't stay until 12 o'clock now. Fang Yulan suddenly said, we'd better go now and get ready for battle. What did you hear? Zhou Wanyuan asked warily. Fang Yulan faced the cave's exterior with her eyes covered and listened to the sound in the rain. She didn't turn her head, but reached back a little and showed her sketchbook to everyone. On the white paper, the yellow pigment automatically bloomed as if it were alive, spontaneously forming their deep cave and the firelight inside. At the same time, the black paint squeezed on the other side turned into fog and spread towards the cave, drawing closer and closer. It's coming sooner than I thought. Xiang Cheng got up, made JIXIAN get behind him, and knocked on the cave wall with the demon-subduing staff. There was a rustling sound outside, and this time the sound was getting closer and closer, as if something spanning across the entire forest was coming towards them. Oh, that's not good. Kita said, we have to leave. All the people got up and stood outside the cave. Kita raised his head, and even the hillside where they were hiding was echoing with sound. Great Immortal Xiang. Zhou Wanyuan said, are we going or not? Stand there if you want to live. Xiang Cheng said casually and said to Qi Wei, summon a dragon. Qi Wei understood and began to form seals with his hands. Do whatever I tell you to do later. Xiang Cheng said to JIXIAN, no matter what happens, just follow me. Of course. JIXIAN said. Xiang Cheng pointed to Qi Wei, then pointed to the cave wall and said, blast it away. Qi Wei turned his left hand towards himself while his right hand faced outward. Once his palms separated, he drew a Tai Chi circle from the top of his head to his lower dantian. He let out a sudden high sound, and at the same time, Xiang Cheng loudly shouted, run. Saying that, he grabbed JIXIAN with one hand and quickly retreated outside the cave. In an instant, the Tai Chi circle drawn by Qi Wei changed into a mirror-like sea of fire. A fire dragon, enveloped in endless flames, roared as it charged out. When Xiang Cheng and JIXIAN rushed out, Xiang Cheng threw back his hand, shook out the Yao-binding rope, wrapped it around Qi Wei's waist, and dragged him flying backwards out of the cave. Everyone leapt out and dropped to the ground, just as a violent explosion burst out from the top of the cave. The mouth of the cave seemed to have become the mouth of a dragon, a blazing flame erupting from it that lit up the night sky. The flame was like a powerful flare in the dark and rainy night. In that flash, the surrounding area of 100 meters could be seen clearly, with the scene impressed in one's eyes. On top of the mountain, rocks, gullies, and trees. Huge black spiders were soundlessly approaching them, and there were thousands of them. They were crossing the hillside, running through the woods, and pouring into the cave. Run. Chen Zhen made a quick decision and said, break through them. Kita roared, how do we break through them? There's too many. Everyone into the cave. Xiang Cheng shouted. The roaring flames burst out like a spew of dragon fire, before going back into the cave. Xiang Cheng took the lead and dragged JIXIAN into the cave. Zhou Wanyuan's group followed closely behind, and Chen Zhen looked back and finally gave up on his plan to break through the siege, rushing into the cave again with Kita and Chen Lang. The tail of the fire dragon in front of them flashed and wound straight into the deeper part of the cave. The army of spiders behind pursued without stopping, and in an instant, tens of them poured in together and chased them inside. Suddenly, the terrain became steep, and they entered a more open area. The fire dragon abruptly disappeared, but before flying away, it drew out all the bats. Then all the bats were startled and rushed towards them, nearly covering the sky. Ah! JIXIAN slipped, and Qi Wei shouted, "Hold on to me." Dense spiders had already poured into the corridor. Kita was pulling at Chen Lang with one hand while dragging Fan Yulan with the other. Zhou Wanyuan shouted, "Be careful." Then, holding onto Lei Guangxi's collar, she slid down. Everyone was sliding down the slope at high speed. Fan Yulan screamed as a group of bats wildly collided with her. Chen Zhen and Xiang Cheng took up stances at the same time as they slid, turning as they did so. Chen Zhen held out the heart lamp, and an invisible shockwave burst forth towards a swarm of spiders charging at them, pushing all the black monsters back into the narrow tunnel. "Xiang Cheng, look up." "JIXIAN, what?" Xiang Cheng spread his hands and shook open the Yao imprisoning flag. The Yao imprisoning flag had been wrapped around a large stack of talismans, and in an instant, the talismans were like paper money, whirling everywhere with a huala and flying overhead. In a split second, dozens of talismans seemed to be acting in concert. They were shaking non-stop and lit up with a dazzling light all at the same time, sending out a flash of lightning that jumped in connection with each other to form a huge network. Under the Akalanatha golden iron lightning spell, the electrical net boomed, sending out a crackling current and spreading out. Lightning bombarded crazily, and the entire mine was filled with everyone's shouts. End chapter.